Across centuries of war, plague and empire, a quiet mystery has survived beneath the rafters and in the mud. Some of Europe's oldest cathedrals still rest on oak beams, cut nearly 1,000 years ago. Viking ships pulled from their burial mounds still hold their shape. And in Venice, wooden piles driven into seawater centuries ago still carry the city's weight. How did medieval builders, without a single lab or chemical preservative, manage to make wood outlast steel? The answer wasn't magic. It was mastery. A lost science of fire, water and patience that modern builders can still learn from today. Medieval builders discovered that water was their greatest preservative. It sounds backward, right? Keep wood wet to make it last longer. But medieval carpenters knew something most of us have forgotten. Rot needs oxygen, and underwater, oxygen disappears. When freshly cut timber was submerged in rivers, ponds or clay pits, it didn't rot, it hardened. This was honestly the earliest form of water seasoning, or what archaeologists now call bog preservation. With no oxygen present, fungi and bacteria simply couldn't eat through the cellulose and lignin that give wood its strength. Viking shipwrights? Well, they knew this secret instinctively. Ships like the Oseberg and Gokstad, buried in waterlogged soil for over 1,000 years, were found with their hulls still intact. The same principle keeps Venice standing. The city's foundation piles, submerged under sea water since the Middle Ages, are still solid today. Medieval builders didn't understand the science, but, they certainly knew the results. They'd soak wood for months, sometimes even years, before using it. When it dried, it became dense, stable, and almost immortal. Modern survivalists, interestingly enough, can use this same trick. If you're working with green wood, well, sink it in a clean pond or stream for a few months. The water leaches out sugars and sap that feed decay organisms. And, dry it slowly in shade, not sun. What you'll get is wood that feels heavier, cuts smoother, and lasts decades longer. That's not folklore. It's chemistry. While water protected wood underground, fire became its armour above it. Medieval craftsmen learned that a light burn, controlled charring, could make wood nearly indestructible. Across medieval Europe, builders scorched timber beams and fence posts until they blackened. The surface carbonized, turning into a thin shell of charcoal that locked out moisture and insects. In Japan, this technique is called shosugi-ban, but medieval masons and farmers used the same idea long before it had a name. You can still find the proof in rural churches and barns across Europe. Blackened posts that have stood for hundreds of years while untreated wood beside them crumbled to dust. To try it yourself, take a torch and evenly heat the surface of the wood until it turns dark brown or black. Don't burn through it, just char the outer skin. Once it cools, you simply brush off the soot and seal it with beeswax, pine resin, or even boiled linseed oil. The combination of carbon and oil, you see, forms a natural barrier that's actually stronger than many modern preservatives. It's just perfect for tool handles, fence posts, or really anything that's going to be exposed to the weather. Forget store-bought wood sealants. Medieval builders, well, they had their own chemical toolkit drawn straight from the forest itself. They used resins, tannins and oils, all natural, all remarkably effective. Oak bark was especially prized for its tannic acid, which is a rather powerful natural preservative. Builders would boil bark or oak galls in water, creating a dark solution they could brush over wood, and honestly, it worked wonders. The tannins soak deep, making the timber too acidic for fungi and too bitter for insects. Then there was pine resin, sticky gold that sealed everything from ship hulls to shields. Mixed with animal fat or beeswax, it created a waterproof coating that hardened over time. Some craftsmen even added charcoal dust to darken the finish and absorb sunlight evenly, preventing cracking. You can recreate this ancient formula today. Melt beeswax and pine resin together in a tin pot. Add a little oil, linseed or olive works fine. Brush it over your wood while still warm. It soaks deep, cures hard, and gives a subtle sheen that resists rain, insects, and rot. No chemicals, no fumes, just the old way, reborn. The medieval woodworker's genius wasn't just in technique, it was in timing. They understood that when you cut the tree mattered as much as how you treated it. They felled trees only in late winter, when the sap had drained to the roots. Low sap meant low sugar, and low sugar meant no feast for fungi or beetles. Cut in summer, and the wood would rot no matter how you stored it. After felling, they never rushed drying. Logs were stacked in open sheds, shaded from sun, but kissed by wind. Thin sticks, called stickers, were placed between planks to let air circulate. This slow air drying prevented cracks and internal stress. The result? Timber that could flex with age rather than fracture. For anyone harvesting their own wood today, the lesson still applies. Cut in the cold months, store under cover, and avoid direct sunlight. The slower it dries, the stronger it gets. You're not just seasoning wood, you're teaching it to endure. When you piece it all together, water curing, fire charring, natural sealing and seasonal cutting, you see the full picture. Medieval builders weren't lucky. They were observant. They studied nature's rules and worked with them, not against them. That's why their bridges still span rivers, their beams still hold cathedrals, and their ships, lifted from their graves, still tell stories of conquest and trade. This wasn't superstition. It was applied science before the term existed. And here's the twist. These old methods still outperform modern treatments when done right. No toxic chemicals, no fancy labs, just patience, knowledge and the elements. For off-grid builders, homesteaders or survivalists, this isn't just history, it's a manual for sustainability. If you're building a cabin, repairing a barn, or crafting tools that you want to hand down to your grandchildren, start with what the ancients knew. Water for purity, fire for strength, resin for endurance, and time, always time, for perfection. Because the people who built the medieval world didn't build for the next decade. They built for the next millennium. So, the next time you run your hand over an old beam or an ancient door, remember, there's a secret in that grain, a whisper from a craftsman who understood that true durability comes from balance, not haste. And if you love uncovering lost skills that might just outlast our modern world, hit that subscribe button, share this with your fellow history buffs, and stay tuned. Because here at HistoryHQ, we don't just tell stories of the past, we bring its wisdom back to life.